Lilly, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me today. It's been nearly 4 years now, and I think I speak for millions of people when I say I still miss checking in on your character in Lost. Coming from such a huge show like that, where everyone was basically one big family, did you slot into the Hobbit family quite well?
I think so. I mean, I feel like it's all within the same world. It's not, Lost wasn't Middle-earth, the island wasn't Middle-earth, but it certainly is, there is a crossover with the fantasy element, with the fantasy fans and the sci-fi fans. There's a cross-pollination there of Comic-Con geeks who just love both things, both brands. And then again, working with a large cast of primarily men on an isolated island, kind of in the middle of an ocean. Yeah. There are lots of similarities in that way, and I think it was an easy fit because of that.
Did you find it like an interesting film to work on, or films to work on, I guess, because it was mostly male, and because I guess most of it is European, because most of the actors are English and some are Irish and Welsh. Did you find that different at all from what you're used to?
I loved that. I love that. I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm Canadian, but I relate to British people so much more than I do to American. I mean, I don't know. It's like my grandmother was straight off the boat from England, and on the other side it was Irish, and so I was raised I think with elements of that culture. And when I got into this cast, I felt so much more at home than I actually ever did on the Lost cast, and so that was a treat for me.
That's good then.
Yeah.
I understand that Peter Jackson, you met him while you were on Lost, and he said to you that he would have cast you in the original Lord of the Rings had he known of you earlier. Is that you're just like, no?
I was killing me. I was like, oh, you can't tell me that. That's like my dream, and you're just telling me that my dreams have been dashed because it's never going to happen, because Lord of the Rings, of course, that was when we were at the Golden Globes and Return of the King was up for an award, and so it was done and dusted. There was nothing to be done about it. And then cut to 5 years later, and he called me up and said, hey, actually, I'm doing another one. Yeah.
The Lord of the Rings, the original trilogy, was littered with strong female characters, and you yourself, your character in this is a very strong female character. But one of the things I picked up on is that the characters don't necessarily, like, any one of them could be male or female, because they're not written specifically to gender. Like, if it's a strong male, it just happens to be that a man is playing that character, and the same for yourself. Do you find that might have come from Tolkien, or do you think it came from Peter Jackson?
You mean the fact that it was the choice that it was female, or the fact that it just sort of doesn't matter?
It just almost doesn't matter.
That's interesting. I actually have never really noticed that. I know that for Tolkien, when he was writing The Hobbit, he was writing in the 1930s, so he wasn't including women at all in his stories. But then if you watch the evolution of his writing, along with the evolution of the feminist movement, you can see that he suddenly writes in all of these incredible, strong female characters. But I think he was very gender aware, Tolkien. I don't think he would have considered the two very interchangeable. So maybe that's a Peter thing, because it seems to me in Tolkien's writing he's very male. It's a sort of male-dominated world until his appendices, really, in Silmarillion.
Yeah. And the final question, you've got a lot of action in this movie. You've got your hand-to-hand stuff, you've got some knife stuff, bow and arrow. Was there any that you took to particularly well, or did you have a particular favourite out of those?
Yeah, I particularly liked the knives. I liked the stealth of the knives. I liked how knives are almost hand-to-hand. It's almost the same style of fighting, but it gets to be more graceful, and I love the sweeping motions of the knives, that she was always making these beautiful figure-8 motions. I think that the bow and arrow sometimes feels a little bit clunky when you're doing it because there's so much gear, and I loved the stealth of the knives.
Fantastic.